Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely mind-blowing, Earth's emergency shutoffs and the elements of nature's defense loops. We're going to unpack this incredible mystery of how our planet's most violent, extreme elemental systems actually manage to balance themselves out. Can a disaster trigger its own shutoff? Seriously, think about that for a second. When you see footage of massive environmental devastation on the evening news, it just looks like pure, unadulterated chaos, right? Totally out of control. But what if I told you that an uncontrollable catastrophe could actually possess a built-in, hardwired emergency off switch? No way, right? Well, let's look closer. So the crucial point is, catastrophic events can actually trigger their own built-in emergency shutoffs. Today, we're completely reframing how we look at natural disasters. We're shifting our perspective away from seeing them as just acts of pure destruction, and instead, we're going to start seeing them as highly structured, sequential defense loops. It's like looking at a giant hidden ecological puzzle. To really wrap our heads around this mind-bending concept, let's look at our first major example, the wildfire paradox. When a wildfire breaks out, our gut human reaction is just absolute panic. We view it as this highly destructive anomaly, a terrifying glitch in the natural system that needs to be stopped immediately. But the science shows us a completely counterintuitive reality. These massive infernos are actually forces that certain forest ecosystems absolutely depend on in order to survive. Nature is essentially using this intense, terrifying heat as a deliberate tool. It's wild. The fire aggressively sweeps through, clearing out all those dead, decaying trees that are basically choking the forest floor. And in doing so, it actually stimulates brand new growth. It acts like a massive environmental reset button, laying the fundamental groundwork for our very first major feedback loop. But here's where the story gets really incredible. We are now hitting the climax of the heat loop. I want you to imagine the absolute peak of a raging wildfire. The temperatures are soaring, the heat is blinding, and the elements are clashing with, frankly, terrifying violence. It literally feels like this inferno is just going to burn forever, consuming absolutely everything in its path. But nature actually has a highly sequential plan for this exact moment. Okay, let's dive into this and watch how this brilliant cycle actually unfolds. Step 1, the fire clears out the dead brush. Step 2, all that concentrated extreme heat rises rapidly into the atmosphere. Step 3, that massive upward push of hot air forms what's called a pyrocumulus cloud. And step 4, rain falls. The destruction organically generates its own ultimate defense mechanism. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the hard science behind it all. A pyrocumulus is a unique cloud formation that rises directly over a heat source, and it can actually produce rain to extinguish the very fire that created it. Think about the sheer poetry of that for a second. The blazing heat of the fire literally creates the torrential rain required to put itself out. It is a perfect, completely self-contained loop. But what happens when the opposite element takes over? I mean, if extreme heat can create a localized cloud that actively kills the fire, how does the entire system react when we throw the dense, freezing aura of winter into the mix? Well, buckle up because this brings us to a major plot twist in Earth's elemental mechanics. Welcome to the cold wave counter effect. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it is a very real, stunning paradox. You would naturally assume that freezing temperatures would easily help kill a raging fire, right? Ice beats fire. That feels like basic common sense. But actually, scratch that. Nature's systems are way more complex than just simple addition and subtraction. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark elemental contrast at play here. On one side, extreme heat creates pyrocumulus rain clouds and actively self-extinguishes. But totally counterintuitively, the freezing cold doesn't stop the fire at all. It unexpectedly turns it into an even greater hazard, significantly increasing the fire's intensity. Let me explain exactly why this happens, because the physical mechanics are just fascinating. It all comes down to dense air and deadly oxygen. You see, cold air is physically denser than warm air. Because the air molecules are packed so tightly together in the freezing cold, that cold air literally contains more oxygen per cubic meter. So when a wildfire encounters a cold wave, it's suddenly being fed this massive concentrated diet of oxygen, which causes the flames to burn with terrifyingly higher intensity. The cold actually feeds the beast. Let's move to and see how this builds into a bigger picture of self-regulating systems. We've got clearing dead trees, stimulating new growth, and generating localized rain clouds. When you piece all of this together, it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that these massive elemental clashes are not just random chaotic acts of destruction. They are highly structured, deeply interconnected ecological feedback systems. This absolutely shifts how we need to view Earth's hidden mechanics. The next time you see extreme weather events happening on the news, a raging wildfire, or a towering smoke cloud turning the sky pitch black, you aren't just looking at a catastrophe. You're actually witnessing the Earth actively and sometimes aggressively balancing itself out right in real time. It's a profound, incredibly dynamic display of planetary survival. So, that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to ponder before we wrap up. How many other natural disasters are actually just the Earth healing itself? I mean, if a devastating fire can brilliantly choreograph its own rainstorm to restore balance, what other invisible defense loops are operating all around us, just hidden in plain sight? I hope this explainer leaves you as awestruck by nature's incredible design as I am. Keep questioning, keep exploring the amazing, self-regulating mechanics of our world, and we'll catch you next time.